Hi everyone, it's Ian from Xencelabs. In this video, I'm going to show you how to set up pen pressure in Photoshop. Let's jump in. What I'm using today is the special edition pen tablet and I have the quick keys. You could use the small, the medium, or the special edition, as well as Photoshop to control the pen pressure. So in Photoshop, I'm going to create a new file. For this example, I'm not really worried about the size of the file that we create. It's just so we have a canvas that we can demonstrate how to set up the pen pressure. So for this, I'm going to use the photo. My first default Photoshop size is 16 by 12 centimeters. It's got a white canvas I'm going to create. Now what I'm going to do is create a new layer so that my pen pressure and brush strokes will be seen on this new layer. So I can very easily delete the layer and start a new layer for each example. I'm coming across to the tools and I want to make sure that my brush tool is selected. If I need to change the size of the brush, I can use the menu at the top so I can change the size of the brush, and I can change the hardness of the brush, and I can also change the style of the brush. We'll come into that at another time. So now that I have a brush set up, one of the things I want to show is that I can actually control the size of this brush by using my quick keys. So by using my quick keys, I can make the brush bigger or smaller. What I need to do is open up the brush panel, and you can see that we have our brush settings, which is here. And some of the things that I want to put onto the brush to make it more interactive for pen pressure is shape dynamics. By selecting shape dynamics and changing the control to pressure, will allow me to control the amount of ink that flows across within the brush. If I didn't have this on, then I get one line coming straight across. This is what you would get with a mouse. But by turning on shape dynamics and ensuring that it's set up with control of pressure, means that we now have pen pressure. So we can control the thickness of the line by leaning down on the tablet surface. Just turning on pen pressure within here in this setting allows us to control the amount of pressure and the amount of ink that comes through when we're pushing down. No longer we're going to get a large black blob coming across. We can control the amount of pressure we lean down on the tablet surface to control the amount of ink that saturates in. If we lean down very heavily, we get a lot of ink. If we lean down very lightly, we'll get very thin, light lines coming through. So the shape dynamics allows us to control the thickness of the line. Another one which I'm going to turn on is transfer. So if I turn off shape dynamics and keep transfer on, and again under control, I change it to pen pressure. What this allows me to do is to have either a solid line of ink or a very feathered line. So you can see the thickness stays the same. It's still a large circle, but the opacity has now been greatly reduced. And if I lean down very lightly, I can get a light coverage of ink coming across the page, or lean down heavier, you can see more black ink is being applied. Black ink is coming across because black is in my foreground color as I'm painting. Now let's mix the two together. If I turn on shape dynamics and transfer, I'll just create a new layer. What I now have is a thin line, which is very light of ink. And if I lean down heavier, I get a solid line, which is a lot thicker and more black ink. Another option which I really like using when playing in Photoshop is color dynamics. Color dynamics allows me to choose a foreground color, background color, and then it allows me with pen pressure to control just how the foreground and background colors are going to blend together. So because I have under the control pen pressure, what I now have is I start drawing and you can see the yellow. As I lean down heavier, it changes to the red. Lean down light, it goes back to the yellow. You can create some really good blends and tones just by choosing different colors. Yellows to greens. Yellows to blues, purples, and everything in between. What a nice effect. So please take time to explore the brush settings. And in the brush settings, what we're looking for here is just under the control where we can set it to pen pressure. This just allows you to play a little bit more within Photoshop, to experiment and get more familiar with how you can control the pen pressure settings here in Photoshop. But what we're also going to show you is how to control this within our Xencelabs tablet. Okay, so for this exercise, what I'm going to do is I've got a new layer created, blank new layer, and I have shape dynamics switched on for pen pressure. So what that allows us to do is to have either a thin or a thick line as we draw across the screen. I'm going to open up my Xencelabs tablet preferences, and within here I'm going to select the 3-button pen. I'm going to choose Photoshop because that's the application that I'm using. And now within Photoshop settings, within our driver panel, we have pen pressure. So how I lean down on the tablet surface may be different from everyone else. And we can customize how heavy or how soft you lean down on the tablet surface. And what I love about this panel is it's not just a slider bar that says heavy or soft. We actually have advanced settings that allows us to come in and see and practice how we lean down on the tablet surface and adjust it as needed. So we have an advanced panel that allows us to see just how we need to lean down to get a thick brush. And what I love about this panel is that how I work with pen pressure in Photoshop is different to how I would work with pen pressure in Illustrator or other applications. And I can load applications into this menu bar simply by clicking the little plus on the side and either choosing an open application or browsing to my applications folder on my computer to add them in. So this just allows me within Photoshop, making sure that Photoshop's selected and it shows the yellow bar below the application icon to let you know that's the one that we've got. I'm using the 3-button pen, and now I can customize if I lean down very light or if I lean down very heavy. And again, we can go into advanced settings and just customize this. Now when I come to drawing in Photoshop, I can get more fine lines as I'm drawing through. It's great for retouching hair, great for illustrations, great for painting, and it means you're not stuck with the size of brush that you choose. You can then lean down very lightly or lean down heavy. You can control the size of the ink from the brush that's going onto the canvas. So what we've done today is we've looked at pen pressure in Photoshop with Xencelabs products. I've walked you through the shape dynamics, I've walked you through color dynamics, and I've walked you through transfer so you can control your pen pressure within Photoshop. What I've also done is shown you some of the advanced settings within the Xencelabs panel for the driver that allows you just to fine tune so that the pen pressure that you use within Photoshop is specific for you and how you work. Hope you find this useful.
Xencelabs.